Hey, how you guys doing? It's Jason James, and of course, this is Fighting for Liberty. I hope you guys are having an amazing week so far. Lots to get to. Still on the job hunt, and we're still stuck at 27 subscribers for some reason. I'm starting to feel like we're getting shadow banned. My views have dropped off, or my content is that much shittier than when I started, which you would think would get better, but I could be wrong. Could be wrong. So let's get started with the first things first. We have Tamara Lich, you know, the supposed ringleader of the truckers' convoy for freedom. She, up until yesterday, was incarcerated because, well, you know, she's a dangerous fucking person, right? She's super dangerous. She could reoffend, bro. So, before we get to that, actually, let me just fire that off. Okay, now shut up. And if you guys are wondering, that is one of my old songs from my old band, and it's aptly named Fighting for Liberty, that song. Shameless plug. I'm a horrible person. That's okay, though, right? So here's a video of Tamara Lich being released, and of course, her family was waiting for her children, which was nice to see. And reporters couldn't get enough of it. Well, I don't know if they're all up reporters. It might just be family members and friends, lots of phones out. Obviously, everybody's very happy to see her back on the free side of things, and we'll talk about it after. Let's have a look. It just warms you. It just tickles your heartstrings there, eh? You hear all those boos for that horrific terrorist that they just released? You know, she's a danger to herself and everyone around her. Oh, those are terror hugs. Yep, they're evil. There's that a daisy in somebody's hair there. That's an acronym for Hail Hitler, right? We'll see that in Parliament tomorrow, probably. Oh, geez. So, they love her. Well, that's obviously just a dog whistle for we're going to overturn the government. That's what that's. We love you is overturning the government in truckerese there. Yeah, their own language. Yep. Woo! Yes, no, that's all evil. Yep. Well, I don't know about you, but I am happy she's out. I am happy she is out. So the judge overturned his prior decision to keep her locked up without bail or possibility of parole or whatever the hell they call it nowadays. She's been released to the custody of not her husband because, you know, that would be weird to go home and just serve your time at home before trial. I don't know. So she's being released to a friend or family member. I can't remember which, but it doesn't matter. The point is that games were played, obviously, to keep her in, and they worked for a few weeks. This is just a little backdoor playbook kind of crap that they're pulling, just to try and scare people. Hey, like we can throw you in jail and we can keep you there as long as we want, if the judge doesn't agree with you and what you stand for, which is obvious because that judge was a liberal donor and just a staunch liberal. He loves the liberals. So the fact that he was the judge that was chosen for her case, no surprise there. No surprise. Just more bullshit. Just more bullshit antics. So if you get caught doing anything wrong, thinky, just, you know, remember that you don't get to choose the judge. A lot of them are not above reproach, apparently. Apparently this guy isn't. So, but happy to see that she's home, or going home. She cannot go back to Ottawa, or can't go back to Ontario, I guess it is, for quite a while. And she has to have permission to do that. So I'm thinking she's not going to get permission to do that. She can have no contact with anybody who had anything to do with the convoy. She can't go on social media, even for stuff other than the convoy. She's been stripped of all of her rights, basically, and she, I'm guessing, is probably wearing a bracelet, one of those electronic shock collars that we put on dogs. She's going to have one of those put on her leg, and she's going to be stuck at home for the foreseeable future. So this is what freedom looks like, you know, when you're fighting for freedom. That thing that we all like so much. So, who's filled up their gas tank lately? Have you gone to a gas station? Have you frequented the ye old gas pump lately? Have you noticed that there's a slight increase in the gas? just a little bit. Did you notice that? Well, what I love about this crisis is, and it's a crisis because it's been around for a bit. It wasn't just something that happened in the last 2 weeks. It's been going in this direction for a long time. Inflation's been going through the roof, and it's totally from mismanagement, out of control spending, obviously trillions of dollars. I mean, we're just talking about Canada here. The United States is the same thing. Buying foreign oil instead of pumping it from your own backyard, which has plentiful amounts of it, and can do it for cheaper and safer. And it's not from a war-torn country that they use slave labor to get, and they don't follow environmental guidelines. That kind of stuff. The kind of stuff that we've been talking about that we're supposed to care about. At least the people in charge right now are supposed to care about, but evidently they don't really give a shit about that. They just want to get it for as cheap as they can, and they get obviously if they're getting kickbacks of some sort. I mean, why would you freight this shit across the ocean when you've got it in your own backyard? And it also creates jobs, and it could create revenue for you. Well, it would create a lot of revenue for you and jobs, and those people that have jobs would create income tax, and that income tax could be used for outrageous spending on something else stupid, like arming the Ukrainians with a bunch of Canadian stuff that we barely have enough for our own guys for. But I digress. That's that's probably just going to get me banned for just saying that. But anyway, the point is that we know for a fact, people that have been paying attention, don't do that, that this crisis has been going on for quite a while, like I said, but everybody wants to blame Russia, right? Russia. So Russia was not the problem before. It was like I said, all those things I just mentioned are the reason why we're in this horrible place, and mandates and COVID and how mismanaged COVID was, and all those things all add up. And when you have people in charge that are absolute morons, you get high inflation and food prices going through the roof and gas prices going through the roof, and anything to do with energy, which is everything, by the way. Everything we do and everything we create and produce and ship is all based on the petrodollar, and it's all based on how expensive energy is, because everything uses it. Everything. We literally can't live without it. So we can see here, Russia's crisis threat. Russia crisis threatens to worsen Biden's gas price problem. So this article, I pulled this article up. It's not a new article. I got to slow the fuck down here. I'm getting ahead of myself. Somebody just I didn't even have any caffeine today. This is ridiculous. So I chose this article because it came out on the 18th of February. So before the Russians invaded Ukraine, just before, okay. And I'm just pointing out the obvious here, that like 3 weeks ago, we knew that the gas prices were going up exponentially. Inflation had gone up 7%, and it's almost at 8%. It could be up to 10% here in the next month, just in Canada alone. And that has nothing to do with what's going on in Ukraine. Nothing. But isn't it convenient? Kill two birds with one stone. We can not only destroy the COVID narrative that we don't want to talk about anymore, because all this information has been coming out about how, well, we'll get to it after. You're going to love this stuff. You're going to love it. If you haven't seen it already, and a lot of people haven't, because it's pretty crazy, and it's a lot to read. 55,000 pages of things to read. So that's a lot of bedside reading if you want to be bored and pass out. You could probably read some of this and have that happen, but there's about 9 pages where your head's going to spin, and you're not going to be able to get any sleep, especially if you got the jab and we're worried about possible adverse reactions down the road. This is the stuff of nightmares. It's the stuff of nightmares. Okay, but we're not going to get to that right now. So let's read along with this article here. The crisis between Russia and Ukraine is expected to exacerbate what has already been a political headache for the Biden administration: high gas prices. President Biden himself, in a speech on Tuesday, mentioned energy prices and acknowledged the possibility of consequences here at home, saying Americans understand defending democracy and liberty is never without its cost. So just pass the buck, bro. Right? We're just going to pass the buck. Don't you worry. We got it all under control. And as of today, and I could have pulled up this article, but didn't, but they're blocking all Russian oil, okay, exports to the USA. So that's about 800,000 barrels, I think it was. And if the Keystone XL would have been completed and turned on, all right, We would have 830,000 barrels coming from Alberta going into the States for a way, way more reasonable price and an infinite flow. Okay. So I don't understand. You have to ask why. Ask yourself, why would they do this? Why would you go to OPEC? Why would you go to Saudi Arabia, who has told us to take the big fucking leap because we were trying to, not manufacture, but produce our own oil in our own backyard there for a while. So they're pissed at us still about that. Pretty sure. So anytime you take away some, a little bit of money out of somebody's coffers, like we did in Saudi Arabia, they started to flood the market, like Russia and Saudi Arabia and Iran did back it wasn't too long ago, actually. Yeah, back when Trump was in office, and he started fracking and everything in his backyard and producing his own oil and becoming a net oil exporter instead of an importer. And those were the days. So we were down to $55 a barrel oil, and we're just about at brace your titties for this. Okay, almost $200 a barrel now. $200, unheard of. Okay, they're screaming for people up north here in Alberta, of course. For how long, who knows, until the bubble bursts, and then it's get bent and see you later kind of thing. But that's the ebbs and flows of northern Alberta's oil and gas industry, and I guess Texas is kind of be the same, and Arkansas and all those places down there that are drilling and stuff like that. I guess they go through the same thing. But the fact that it's $200 a barrel, and as much as I don't like seeing already ridiculously rich oil oligarchs making any more money, in this instance, if we could drop that down just a tad, we would be able to get our gas prices under control and our shipping prices under control and our food prices under control and our energy for our heating bills and power and all this shit under control. If somebody would just use their fucking brain and understand, listen, here I am saying things like this, and that's wrong. It's wrong of me to say. These people know exactly what they're doing. Okay. Calling them idiots when they've gotten as far as they have in politics and everything, that's not right. They know exactly what they're doing, and I know that they know exactly what they're doing because nobody in their right mind would fucking do this. Nobody would do this unless there was some reason. Unless you were, I don't know, trying to crash the market. Unless you were trying to crash the economy. There's a thing. When we get to $10, they're already at $7 a gallon in California. If we get to $10 a gallon just across the board, which would be like, I don't know, $6-7 a liter for fuel here in Canada, who the hell's going to be able to afford to drive? You won't even be able to get to work. Then what? If that gets that high, then imagine how expensive everything is going to get. It'll be insurmountable. At my job that I'm on leave for, we haven't gotten a raise in 3 years. And that's pretty commonplace across the board. There's been no raises. Nobody's keeping up with inflation. No companies are paying their employees to keep up with inflation. It's impossible. They would go out of business. There's so many companies that are just kind of riding a fine line of profitability. Not mine so much because they're natural gas, so their stocks are going through the roof right now. So they're doing quite well, as they usually do. But you think they're going to share that money around? No, they're not going to share. They're putting it in their coffers for a rainy day because this is all going to burst soon. I don't know how, the housing market here in Canada is crazy. There's people, the average price, like Pierre Poilievre said, $836,000. Now, I don't know where the fuck that is. I think it's in Ontario that price is average, but he said it's average across Canada is $836,000. Like, Jesus Christ. There's no way, millennials and anybody looking for their first house can afford that, especially when things are costing as much as they are. But for some fucking reason, people are scared they're not going to be able to get into the market in a year or whatever. So they're buying these houses for ridiculous prices now. And it's like, bro, I don't know if you're going to be able to afford that thing in 5 years. 5 years, maybe a year. Who knows when the bubble bursts and they jack up the fucking interest rates. I see another 2008 like times 10 happening where people are going to walk away from their houses before it's taken from them. That's my worry. So just keep your eye to the, your ear to the ground, I should say, because this shit is kinetic here. What's going on in Ukraine and Russia? The coverage is brutal. All right. It's just standing with Ukraine without knowing what actually is going on. I urge you to do some research that's not on mainstream media about this. I urge you to check it out because look, this thing was orchestrated for a very long time, and it was coming to a head of it was inevitable. This was going to happen, and it looks like it was very much planned. and I see this affecting the world in a very negative way in a very short period of time. I'm scared that somebody's going to do something, or there might be a false flag. And I know that's very conspiratorialist, but that's the truth. I feel like there's either side could do something to kick this thing off, and it almost feels like, well, it looks like they both want the same thing, which is let's get at her. They want to get at her. They want to jump the fence and start swinging. That's what it feels like to me, anyway, guys. I mean, you let me know what you think in the comments below, but that's kind of how I feel. So we won't get into that. We won't delve into that too much. There's so much there. I could do a whole video on it, and I probably will. So, but look into it yourself. There's lots of documentation out there as to the dealings of the United States in Ukraine, and Vladimir Putin, not a good guy. Obviously, don't agree with a lot of the things he does, and but he himself is worried about his country's sovereignty and having NATO encroaching on his territory and having maybe potentially having nuclear weapons on his doorstep. Where have we seen this playbook before? Right? They should know. They kind of tried to do it back in the 60s, right? So it's kind of the same thing again. And there was deals made in the 90s that they would NATO would never go any further south or north or south or something like that towards Russia, and it looks like they're doing that, but it's not as cut and dry as you would think, obviously, but they're definitely doing that, and there's definitely reason for concern for that reason, because Russia's not the kind of people you try and starve out, and they're not the kind of people you try and call their bluff, because they don't bluff typically. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. Buy some food and ammo. Just saying. Because if you just have food, then you're just stocking up for the toughest guy on the block. Thank you, Bill Burr, for that joke, and it was one of the best ones. Yay! But let's move on to... Jesus, I wish I had good news. You know what I think I'm going to do? I'm going to start doing like a good news segment. Just something, because it feels like nothing is good anymore. It's all negative. It's all bad. So let's see what we got. Let's see what we got here. I gotta share this with you, and I don't want to now. Now I don't want to because now I feel bad. Okay, here we go. Hey, what's this page you're showing us here? It looks ridiculous because it is. See, instead of writing something out like a normal person would do, when you have so many bad things that you need to, tell the public or have them read, instead of spacing it like a fucking normal person would, right? No, we're gonna zero space this, no spaces in between these words, because after about like 3 sentences, you're just gonna be like, what the fuck am I reading? I was like, oh, nothing. This is just the adverse reactions list. There's 1,291 adverse reactions that Pfizer had logged while doing the trials for the jab. Okay, I know not 1,291 adverse reactions of a couple things. There was 1,291 different adverse reactions, and some of these had multiple of these reactions. Obviously, myocarditis and pericarditis being one of those ones. One of the side effects is death. So your side effect is dead. Okay, appreciate that. Okay, so there's is it 9 pages of this? 9 fucking pages, guys. 9 pages. So I don't know about you, but I didn't get this list from any doctor. I sure as hell didn't get it from the company I sort of still work for, that has me on leave. I sure didn't get it from them. Outlining all the adverse reactions that are potentials for taking some of these jabs. I didn't get any of that. So informed consent be damned. Nobody got that. Okay, I'm not. This isn't a pity party here, guys. I'm just saying. Nobody got that. Why? Because they just released these, and federal court order made them release it. They wanted these to go bye-bye for 55 years, right? So all of us would be long dead before we found out, what we had put in our bodies had you done it. Unfortunately for the big P, Pfizer, which is silent. It's a silent P. Yes, it is. Unfortunately for Pfizer, they were forced to release this, but never fear, because another crisis is here, and that, of course, is Russia, 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 Russia. We stand with Ukraine. Okay, so listen, if you don't see how convenient this is, I don't know what to tell you. Okay, this is far too convenient that this all came out now. Okay, because it's going to get zero looks on mainstream media, and it hasn't, and it won't, and it probably never will. I don't see anybody taking the initiative on this and going like, hey, they never mentioned any of this stuff when they started handing these out. No, they didn't. They purposely didn't, obviously. But are we going to do anything about it? No, probably not. And we've already signed an agreement with the government that even though this all exists, we can't sue them, for any kind of damages. So they're fine. But it's just the look, right? They don't want to lose face. And it's like, well, not that you guys had a lot of face to give in the first place, but as it sits now, you are giant pieces of shit. Okay, let's just put that out there. You are giant pieces of shit, and nobody should ever take any more of your products ever again. Okay, because if this is the kind of informed consent that we can expect from you guys in the future, and doctors didn't have the. I mean, I hope that doctors didn't have this. I don't know the answer to that. If this is just a public release. I don't know. Oral herpes, or oral lichen planus. Oh, you get herpes. That's great. There's lots of thrombosis in here. I don't. And head hemorrhaging. Oh, pulmonary renal syndrome. Pulmonary. I don't know. Like this is, God, embolisms and geez, pulmonary venous thrombosis. Gangrenism. Oh, I hope that's not vegan. You can be a vegan. You get veganism from this. That's radiation leukopenia. Jesus. Like, I don't even, man, renal failure, renal vascular thrombosis, renal vein embolisms, renal artery thrombosis. Oh my God. So, go ahead and read through this if you dare. I've never seen anything like it. And there's, when you get those commercials for drugs on TV, and it's like, can cause these side effects, and it's it's a medication for people that have migraines, and it's like explosive diarrhea, and like stuff like that. Can cause migraines, even though it's to treat migraines, and we all get a good laugh out of those because there's like usually a laundry list of side effects for something that's probably pretty treatable without this medication. You always have a good laugh about who's actually putting this stuff in their body. And then we have this, which was sold to the entire population as the end all be all of how to get out of this pandemic, right? And now look at it. So we haven't seen Moderna's yet, but it looks like the people that took Johnson & Johnson at this point are doing better, even though the Johnson & Johnson was kind of taken off the market, or just not being used as much or whatever. And it seems like that one might have been the one to get. I don't know. I didn't take any of them. I'm not going to. So that's how I feel about that. So anyways, guys, I wish I had good news for you. I really do. But I don't. I still haven't found a job yet. That's not good news either, but I'm looking. So anybody knows anybody in the oil and gas industry that wants to give this ugly mug a try, like I can do things, twist wrenches, and I can pick things up and put them down and make quasi eye contact, because I'm still working on that with the camera thing. The camera's a little high. I don't know. Maybe I should move it down. I don't know why I have it so high. It just makes it hard for me to have eye contact, and I'm always worried that I'm clicking the mouse or something, doing something, but whatever. So anyways, guys, that's all I've got for you today. If I have time, I'll do another video this week. There is lots to get to with the Ukraine conflict and stuff like that, but you've probably heard a lot about it already, I'm sure, and you might be getting sick of hearing about it, and as I am, and I'm getting sick of there's always being some kind of a crisis, as I'm sure you are as well. Would just like things to go back to quasi-normal. Back in the day when we'd go and bomb innocent Middle Eastern countries, and we'd only see really good coverage of how horrible those terrorists were, and we totally weren't taking their resources and stuff, and innocent soldiers went there to die, and those are the good old days, I guess, that people want to go back to, and don't want to remember those days now as, wow, we really like that. Yeah, you were kind of like that. We did those things. We kind of did those things, and they're kind of happening now again. So just inform yourselves. Inform yourselves. That's all I can say. All right, guys. This is, of course, Fighting for Liberty. I am Jason James. Stay strong, stay proud, stay free, and we will catch you soon.